Vigilante wins here on the 39th episode of the Culture Crime Fighters, where I'm joined not only by my usual partner in Culture Crime Fighting, Matt from Fireball Productions, but the one, the only Dalton Pruitt. And I'm excited. We're excited to have Dalton here.
Yeah, this is nice, man. I haven't done just a classic sitting in front of the laptop podcast in a while.
Yeah. Well, I was watching a few episodes. You co-host a show called The Loud Boys, right?
Yes, with Robbie Goodwin and Joe Gorman.
Right on. You guys are very funny. I was super jealous. You did have Ryan Long on there. I was watching that episode. I'm a big fan of his. And but you guys are great. You guys are a really funny show.
Thank you, man. Yeah. We it's been an interesting social experiment because we started the show right before COVID hit.
Okay.
Like we were just going to Robbie's apartment and like sitting on his bed to record it. And it was just something that we were doing because we were doing open mics, and then COVID hit, and we just kept doing it on Zoom because we were like, well, there's nothing to do, so fire this up a couple hours each week, whatever. And we just kept doing it, and now it is what it is, which I feel like we are not unique, but I'm interested to see the other shows that survived COVID and can crawl out of this, because we built the whole thing during the pandemic.
Yeah, like, when you guys have a Patreon, right?
Yeah, we didn't even have a Patreon until like April, maybe, so like 6 months ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see the performers that come out of this, because we approached it with almost like a survival mentality, where it was like, well, the world is kind of falling apart right now. Let's just have some kind of structure. And this wasn't like a conscious thing any of us were thinking. I think we just were lonely.
Yeah, and bored. I mean, that's why I got on the internet. I started YouTubing during the pandemic. I was an actor in LA, and I just like, there's nothing else to do. And I listen to all these YouTubers, I listen to all these comedy podcasts, and I was just like, I don't know, let me try my hand at it. Let me like see how it goes, see if I like it.
One of the guys from Chapo tweeted something pretty enlightening. I've been getting into tweets, all right?
Yeah. What's your Twitter, Dalton?
It's at New Dalton 69420.
Right. The numbers of the gods.
Shit. Yes. I gotta think about, because I also have some thoughts on tweets, but the one of the guys from Chapo, I think it was Will, was commenting on that. Did you guys see that clip with on Fox News, Laura Ingraham and that other guy?
I have not.
No. What's the context?
It's actually pretty funny and endearing. They're talking about like a measles outbreak somewhere, and one of these like conservative pundits, I don't know who the guy is, says, yeah, they it was like, the joke was like, this happened on You, like the show You on Netflix. And I don't know if they were doing a bit or not, because Laura Ingraham actually seemed confused. Like, she was like, what are you talking about? And he goes, You, the show.
Like he was on first kind of thing?
That was the bit, but it was like if one person was the straight man and one person didn't know they were doing a bit. And it kind of came off in a really endearing way to me. And one of the guys from Chapo said, like, yeah, that's the thing with all these conservative guys, is they all wish they were comedians, and nobody right now is doing, like, nobody's doing the thing they want to do, even though they're like the job they have. They all, even if they've succeeded in media, they all wish they were in some other form of entertainment. And I've had that thought before, where I'm like, why are so many people doing this thing but also trying to do this thing and that thing? And it's like, you're spinning too many plates.
I thought you were going to say, like, I had that thought before, I want to be like a hardcore rapper, and so I get why they want to be comedians. So
right. No, I completely understand the desire to, but it's like, my thing is like, why can't it just be a hobby? Like, I like music, I like to sing, I go to karaoke. I'm never gonna be a singer, but
You need
you
to put some
know,
auto tune on it, then you could be a superstar.
nah, dude, I like it when it's dirty, man. I like it when you sound like shit because your vocal cords are blown out and you're thrashing around up there, freaking everyone out. That's music, baby.
I think to like your initial point though about like why people want to do those other things. I heard it described as like the one thing that you're good at. Sometimes it bores you because you're just good at it and it's not interesting, and you kind of want to, you almost are envious, or you want to. There's some sort of inside instinct to try to do something or want to do something that you can't do, and that sort of is your pursuit. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a very human thing, man. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
people get bored after a while, and you got to keep figuring out new ways to appreciate what it is you're doing. And that's why I think it's good to have hobbies. But if you have okay, um, let's say it's the Middle Ages, and you're a blacksmith. You understand your role is that of a blacksmith. You're like a master armorer. Everyone from the four corners comes to you for their armor. Now, let's say you wanted to try your hand at being a bard. There's nothing wrong with going to the ye old open mic and playing a little lute for the evening, but the next day, get back to the fucking armory. Make some armor, make some swords.
You think in the Middle Ages they had bringer shows?
It was all bringers, man.
All bringers.
I wish more people had this perspective that live performance, entertainment, all began as a way for people who truly could not function in polite society to be able to express themselves and just hit the road, come into your town, fuck your daughters, leave, do it again the next weekend. That's all it is, man. It's gypsies and carnies and freak shows, and that's the life I've chosen. But a lot of there's all this ego and money that gets in the way, and people think it's more serious than it is. And it's like, guys, what we do is not particularly like
It ain't rocket science.
Yeah, on a long enough timeline, people are going to look back at what we're doing and say, "Well, whoever thought this was funny? I'm glad they're dead." Because, and you know why I can make that?
Jesus Christ!
Do you want to know? But do you want to know why I'm able to make that call? Because I've done that. It's like I look at some of the comedians that people say are great from the past, and it's like, holy shit! I'm so glad this dude blew his brains out in a bathtub.
The thing is, comedy is so contextual, though. Like, even like specials that I really enjoyed from growing up or 10 years ago or so, like they're not as funny. They don't really work anymore. Like it almost has like a shelf life.
There's very few that are preserved that are like a strawberry jam or a pickled herring, where it's always going to be good.
Or a pickled pig's foot, Dalton.
Or a pickled pig's foot.
Yeah, gotta remember those pickled pig's feet. We haven't talked about your life yet, which is crazy.
But I would say something like Eddie Murphy Raw, that holds up. That's one that you could watch anytime. It's like some of the references you might not understand, but the performance of it is just so good that I think that one holds up really well. I also think so far Elephant in the Room holds up.
Patrice is sort of transcends time and space.
A lot of stuff has aged better. It sounds better. Real quick though, I want to take down the chat. I think they don't know if we're live or not. We are live.
Yes, it's sticking.
Yeah, no, they said this is pre-recorded. It's not like when do we ever
because we haven't. Is that because we haven't addressed the chat at all whatsoever?
So
Hi,
lonely.
everybody.
There's a chat.
Yeah.
There's a chat full of people. We have a sentient dildo who's probably like the most vocal of our guests. The one we,
fans.
Despite them hating us, we love the most. We got Zax here. Hell, Zax.
Cool.
Pat S. Man, Pat S. Got a couple of people here. And more will watch the playback. There's live people. They're here talking stuff.
God damn, if we did that for our show, we would kill each other.
Don't know.
If we were able to look at a live feed of comments and see what people were saying in real time, it would end in a gunfight.
I think like it's interesting because you do get like this kind of live feedback, so it gives you something to bounce off of, and then it's sort of interactive. I mean, like live streaming is different than podcasting, and I kind of like that angle, but it is a different set of skills you have to work.
We're all trying to navigate a new landscape, you know. Like when I was a kid, my dream was to do Letterman, and then when I was like 2021 starting comedy, Letterman retired, and then I had all these people at these clubs be telling me you got to work on your type 5 for your Letterman set, and I'm like, hey, I don't know if you saw the news, but he left. Like he doesn't do his show anymore. Craig Ferguson left, Conan left, all this shit's going away. And so now what we have is this new world of live streams and comment sections and YouTube and all that. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it is like a drastic shift in entertainment.
And isn't my understanding that those late night talk shows don't really give the boost to comics that they used to give them?
No, they don't. I know plenty of
Who
comics.
watches them though?
I know plenty of comics who went on Conan who work moving jobs now. So yeah, and and Conan recognized that. That's probably one of the reasons he left, because Conan's a real dude. Like I never met him, obviously, but you can see it in the relationship he had with Norm Macdonald, that he was like a real guy who actually cares about comedy. And that's what, and I love watching those clips of him and Norm, because you could tell that Norm doesn't care about any of that showbiz shit.
No,
and you could tell Conan doesn't want to care, but he has to.
Mm-hmm.
And so I love those moments when you could see Norm really getting to Conan, and Conan just has to kind of sit there and take it, because he can't really say like, Norm, what the fuck are you doing? But right. he also can't go too hard along with it, so he just has to sit there and be like, all right, you got me.
He used to do the same with Burr. Like whenever Burr would come on, like Burr would just start going off about whatever, and then like Conan would. It's almost like he would play like the voice of the concerned audience member, but it would almost fuel Burr and let him to just get his points out there. And that's pretty deft.
And that's because Conan and any of these guys are one man empires. Like, somebody like Conan, it's not just him. It's him and like 200-300 other people that work for that company. You know what I mean? So he bears the responsibility of like a whole fleet of jobs. So that's such a weird dynamic to be that guy and then say to somebody like Norm Macdonald, who is a degenerate gambler, who can barely hold it together in his own life, to say, hey, come do a nationally broadcast television program that's live. That is crazy to me that still happens. I guess it doesn't now.
I say does it? Yeah. Like
everything is very sterilized now, but that was such a cool moment in time to be that kind of guy, and to still say, hey, I'm going to invite true maniacs onto my show.
Well, it used to just be. I think it used to just be. It's funny, so who cares? Let's just have a little bit of fun. We'll make some jokes. None of this really matters, and that's why. You were talking earlier off stage about how why aren't people happy? Like why are people so miserable all the time? And I brought the point that I think a lot of people think there's a lot at stake in our new current society. And look, I kind of tend to agree with that a little bit, because it does feel like the culture is being completely sanitized, being robbed of its, like the grit and the true diversity, so you could hear some wild shit, and then that would be that. It wouldn't be, we have to silence him, like that needs to stop, we need to get rid of this type of speech, blah blah blah. Like it was just, oh, that was funny, or I found that offensive, and then everyone would just go on with their day.
Yeah. It's ebbs and flows, man. You can see these cycles play out in a lot of different aspects. If you look at like, I think Tarantino mentioned this on Rogan, so I'm not breaking new ground here. But yeah, if you look at the movies of the 70s versus the movies of the 80s, there's a very stark difference in what they are. Like the 70s was dirty, and every movie was about junkies killing each other or something. Mm-hmm. And then the 80s was more sterile, and everything was about just like rich kids hitting the slopes. or whatever. And so these things happen in these cycles, you know. We see it with music, like all this hair metal Motley Crue shit was driving people out of their fucking minds, and then grunge came around, completely changed the landscape. Kurt Cobain blows his brains out, and guess what? On a long enough timeline, everybody started to hate grunge as well. So it just keeps happening.
Yeah,
There's some truth in that. I think it's a little different right now, though. To be honest,
So-
sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah. No, I'm just saying, like, you can look at these other things and you can apply them, but you're never going to be able to have any real certainty.
True.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
of course it's different, it's new, but you know, if you look to the past, you can kind of see these patterns play out and try to make some prediction, but there's always going to be a lot of uncertainty. And I think that's why everybody's so on edge right now, is because this is not only is it an uncertain time, but we also have been alone, but at the same time had no time to ourselves because we're all just staring at our phones, waiting for the all clear. You know, nobody's saying it. That's what we're waiting on. We're waiting for like somebody like Joe Biden, or if he dies, Kamala, somebody come on TV and go, "Ladies and gentlemen, we're good to go." You know,
But that's what's so fucking stressful is that's not gonna happen. Like that's the point. Like it's just gonna continue going like this. I don't mean to be all fucking doom and gloom on you, Dalton, but it's just like I have like this paranoid like concern that this is a beginning of the end. Like that they're working at like truly deconstructing this country.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, there's nothing wrong in actually admitting that you have that feeling. I wish more people would do that because, like, when I talk to people about this, a lot of people just go, "Hey, man, I'm just chilling. What are you talking about?" And I go, "That can't. No fucking way. No fucking way. Are you just chilling or just kicking back? Because you can't. Everything that's happened the last 2 years that's led up to now, and the fact that we're still not out of this. Just please admit that you're miserable. Just get it out of the way and say you're scared and you think the world's going to end, and then we can have a good time." But to keep bottling it up and be like, "No, everything's fine. We're all fine." It's like, no, we're not, dude.
No, we're not. And you're in New York City, right?
Yes, it's a nightmare out here, dude.
Yeah.
I've talked to so many comics who are like, "It's so good the city's back," and I'm like, "Are you fucking retarded? Do you even know what you're saying? The city's not back. The city is crawling through the ruins of all this and trying to rebuild, but we're not." Dude, New York before all this, it was like a party every night, 4 a.m. You know, everybody's still out and about, and that has not come back.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it can.
Yeah. I don't know that it will. I don't. I wanted to first talk about your other point. I got a shout out Central Dildo. He said boom and busting nut cycles as far as the cycles of life, the cycles of culture, of things changing, but people getting tired of it and stuff like that. So like the thing that's different now is like before, regardless of what that cultural shift, it was just similar to what you were talking about with either Burr or Norm or on Conan. Somebody just did what they did and that was it. Like, okay, now we're doing hair metal. Okay, now we're just doing grunge. Okay, now we're just doing whatever. And that was just it. So now in this social media world, like everybody on earth, including sometimes us, and I just fucking did a stream about it, like we act as if like we're gonna solve the problem. Like I'm gonna say the thing that is the most insightful thing, and that's gonna change things. So everybody has this like sort of added weight when it really isn't. Like we're just random people talking shit. So like we're not really gonna shift the world. Like we might entertain the people that care about it, but like we're just, and everybody has that feeling now in this post-Twitter world where they think, okay, if I tweet the right thing, then I'm, you know, the right people will agree with me. And then it's the thing, and it's like, well, no, you're just a guy with an opinion. And so everyone is basically, the difference is now everyone thinks they're a part of the conversation and a part of the shift, and they want to be the right person. They want to do, whether it's you know, whatever side of the political spectrum or whatever side this side on whatever political topic or whatever topic is hot, they want to be the person. And it's just you're just a guy who works at Speedway. Chill, you know what I mean?
It's ego, man. I'm with you. bear with me here. Have you guys read Dune?
No,
Have
I've
not.
started it, but I have not read it.
It's really good. I've been talking about it a lot lately because I'm bored. But there is a line.
We
in
really
the
should
book-
have read and saw it because it was like a big thing.
Yeah,
Like we just said.
it's a pretty dense book, but there's a line in it because he talks about all this about Paul Atreides, who may or may not be a hero, and in the book there's a line where he says Arrakis had become afflicted with a hero because Paul, what he realizes is I'm not I'm not a hero. I'm not anything special. It's just my circumstances led me to this point, and I got to do everything I can to get these people to not look to me as their messiah. And that that's kind of what the book is about. It's about a lot of things, but
Well, I'll tell you that type of I say sci-fi and nerd genre that's going to kill with this audience. So feel free to dive into that type of stuff.
Technically,
well,
that's what this is supposed to be, but we just start complaining about woke shit all the time.
Everybody nowadays does. It's not woke. Everybody wants to be a messiah. They want to be the person that can really influence and affect some change. But what you don't realize, what a lot of people might forget, because we've strayed from the path of God these days. Do you know what happens to messiahs? They get fucking killed. They get crucified.
It's true.
So you got to be careful about this sort of thing. And I'm not joking. You're probably not in any danger of getting crucified, but when you start thinking that way, that you are actually in some way influential at all, you're gonna crucify yourself. You're gonna get to a point where you're like, why am I not able to change anything? Why is none of this working? And it's like, well, it's not supposed to work because it's not normal to want to be someone that people look to. It's normal to be tribal and to just have a community of like-minded people that you can move forward with through time and space. And I hope that happens with the internet and the way it is now. I felt it at Skankfest. So who knows, man? But
what do you mean? Can you elaborate on that? What do you mean you felt it at Skankfest?
Like Skankfest, I didn't know what it was going to be. I always hated comedy festivals. They're the fucking gayest things on the planet. But Skankfest is much different than the other ones I've attended. It feels more
straighter.
It feels more like Burning Man or Gathering of the Juggalos, where it's just people who.
So it is just as gay.
It's gay in the best way.
All right.
Where it's
happy
like
gay.
All these people that you only know through this distant form of communication, all this internet shit, faceless avatars that are finally able to get together.
My avatar has a face.
Right.
No, but I think I know what he means.
Yeah,
like, there's something about that. We have in this community, there's this dude Gary from Nerdrotic. You know Metzger, right?
Oh, do I know Metzger? Did you see the show? Did you see the Skankfest show?
I didn't see that one. Well, I started it, but it was so wild, and it felt like I had to be there to really appreciate.
I told them, they were freaking out about it after the fact, Robbie and Joe, and I said, guys, just be patient. This is our Tommy Wiseau's The Room. Just give us some time, because we didn't set out to do anything other than just be here, and we made what we did what we did. We're just trust me on this. Hi, Mark.
So that video, like the panel that you guys did from Skankfest, you're saying that's like this piece of genius that's gonna creep its way through the internet?
It's not even genius, dude. Trust me, it's not genius. It's an organic train wreck that just works. It's just, I watched it back and I was like, I don't know. I think this is funny. There's no part of me that feels embarrassed about it or like we did anything wrong. I was like, this is fun. This is if we keep it together and we don't all lose our fucking minds, in a year's time, we're going to look back on it and go, wow, what an experience. We had Kurt Metzger on the show. And not only did we walk half the audience, we walked Kurt Metzger.
What?
Kurt Metzger left.
Why?
He just didn't. He came in too late. He was doing stand-up. He came in like 15 minutes late. And at that point, we were already just doing like wrestling. We were like just screaming, doing stunts.
Yeah.
I slugged a Jello shot and spit it all over the audience.
Oh boy, was that like Triple H on the wrestling thing instead
Yeah,
of Jello
I was
shot?
just full on doing wrestling, and Kurt walks in 15 minutes later, and he's like, "Yo, so what's up with woke lefties?" And we're like screaming, like, "What if Rodney Dangerfield was gay?"
That's what I turned it on because I was just watching some like clips last night, and I was like, "This is fucking wild." It's 3 a.m. I can't handle this right now.
That was such a, I think Skank.
check this out.
I've talked to a few people after Skankfest, and there seems to be a bit of a soap opera happening for everybody after the fact. And I think what happened is like we all were just pent up with some kind of angst because of COVID, and we finally got to just party and have have a little release. And it was maybe we should have eased into that weekend because it was just too much all at once. It was so overwhelming. And after the fact, we all were like, well, none of us have any serotonin left. We gotta, because it was just drugs all weekend. It was like everywhere you turned, you could find mushrooms or whatever you're looking for.
Yeah, well, the parallel I was going to draw is not quite that extreme, but I said Metzger does this show called Friday Night Tights every once in a while, and it's a Friday night stream with this guy Gary from Nerdrotic, and he did a meetup in Vegas just back in August. I went to it, and a bunch of people who like hang out and like this corner of the internet went there too. And not nearly as many drugs or spit Jello shots, but it was a really cool meetup because it was everybody that you said that's sort of just anonymous, that there's just that kind of avatar between you and them. Now all of a sudden you're there hanging out, and you all have this kind of commonality that just bonds you immediately, and the hang is so like cathartic and pleasant, like and cool.
Yeah, it's very necessary. It's like I said, it's going native, it's tribal, it's not sustainable. Like when you're there, if you've ever done drugs, we've all had that thought of like, what if I just quit my job? And you know what I mean? And so
just kept it up.
While you're there, you do have that thought where it's like, could we just do this every day? And then by the third day, you're like, no, we can't. We definitely can't. It's not sustainable. We can only do this once or twice a year, but it's very nice. It's cool that we get to do it.
Skankfest seems like a real cool thing. I definitely am going to check out one of them, in the future, because all I ever hear is like, as much as you'd think it would just be degeneracy and savagery, and it sounds like it is. It also sounds like there's like this cool, really cool, like genuine camaraderie and like love amongst the people.
Yeah, man. And me personally, this may just be because I was raised up in the South, but I'm not as much of a degenerate as people think I am. I'm actually very sweet. I mostly spent the festival just going up, talking to people, and handing them cans of water, being like, "Here, you need to drink some water. You're on Molly or whatever."
How many did you do sets too?
I did. Yeah, I did. I did like 3 or 4 stand-up sets over the weekend, and by the third day, I was so fried. It was just there was no. I still went up, but like it was chaos. It was like me, Zach Amico, Robbie, and Chris Fago went up together, and just
You went up at the same time?
Yeah, we just fucked around on stage because it was the very last show of Skankfest, and so it had been chaos the whole show because everybody was just like, "What are we gonna? We're gonna do stand up? We're all on handfuls of drugs right now." So that was actually really fun because we just got to go on stage and kind of hang out and not really work too hard.
That's cool.
Sounds cool. And you know what? I think there's something to your point of like people just like being kind of pent up, and like whenever they have a chance to let loose, they go like insane. Because I just think, in general, whether we're talking about some of the stuff like, there's starting to be more events where people are actually there. I think that shit that happened in Houston a few weeks ago, the Astro World thing.
Oh, yeah.
I think that had a lot to do with it. There's 50,000 people who haven't been to a show in 2 years, and they lose their shit at a Travis Scott show, and then people, end up unfortunately passing, but that's because there's 50,000 people who have been sitting in their room for 2 years and they get to finally go to a fucking concert and they just lose it.
Yeah. And you just reminded me, I need to ask you, don't feel like you have to answer this, but Vidge, are you black?
Why you want to know, you bigot?
I
Racist.
need fresh eyes.
White supremacist.
No. I need your thoughts on a situation that I found myself in.
Ooh, this is interesting.
There we go. Ask the black guy.
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
I
am.
really it'll make sense because I think what I did, I had the right idea, but it was very white boy thinking.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I to kind of go off the race, when I was listening to your you on Are You Garbage, it felt like I was like watching the White Boys in the Hood when you were telling your life story. I felt like I was like engrossing myself in white culture. I've been listening to a little Radiohead, and I've been like, I feel like I'm starting to understand you people. Like I'm starting to understand your culture.
You people, yes. Where I'm from in the South, to be honest with you, it's weird. There's not a lot of difference between the poor white people and poor white black people of the South, because I've been trying to figure out a way to talk about this on stage. Because like all the food I remember really enjoying growing up that my grandma cooked was like collard greens, cornbread, grits, fried green tomatoes, fried chicken, fried quail. All these foods.
Fried quail. Whoa, that's too southern for me.
Yeah, but
I was like, cool, and then you said fried quail. I'm like, whoa.
Well, Vidge is from Detroit.
I'm from Detroit.
But it was all these foods that if you go to the neighbor next door, if they were a black family, they were cooking the same shit. And so the joke I'm trying to tell on stage is like, oh, I just realized we're just as poor as black people. That's why we're eating all this.
Dude, there's a good book on this subject, and actually a channel.
You were talking about it.
Yeah, a channel I really like called Unsafe Space. That's going to be their next like book club book, but it's a book written by Thomas Sowell called Black Rednecks, White Liberals, and it explores this like all this cultural crossover in the South and where it originated, like in the Isles of like England and Scotland, as like this sort of like
fried chicken is Scottish.
Fried chicken is Scottish.
No shit.
Yeah.
And
that's New Orleans. If you go to New Orleans, I think it's in the 9th Ward. There's a really famous fried chicken place called Willie Mae's Scotch House.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's an interesting subject for an interesting book for the subject you're talking about. So it's I recommend checking it out. And it's free on Audible. If you have an Audible subscription, it's a free book.
Yeah. What's it called again?
Black Rednecks, White Liberals.
I like that.
It's interesting.
What I was gonna say though, what happened at Skankfest is this, and this was at the night of all that Astroworld shit. We were all getting back to the hotel, and I'm walking through the lobby, going to the elevator, and I just kind of noticed there's a bit of some tension happening between the hotel police officer and a group of black folks just chilling in the lobby drinking champagne. And they were dressed to the nines. They were all wearing like Steve Harvey suits. They were clearly like they staying there, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And all I hear is, well, here's our room key. We're staying here. And then the cop says, yeah, well, you need to leave now. And
oh Jesus!
And I had my Skankfest lanyard on that said the artist pass, and I'm on drugs. And I just am like, in my mind, I'm like, I got to fix these bad vibes. And so I walk up and I just hold up the badge and I go, oh, hey, I think this is there's a festival in town. I think they're here for that. And the cop took the cop stance with me. I've seen my dad do this where it's like he's getting ready if he needs his gun, you know? And so he goes, sir, you need to stand back now. And I go, well, and he goes, nope, you need to walk away now.
Wow.
And I just like, and then the people he was hassling, they just started laughing. And I walked away because I was like, I guess it was an instance of like, I had good intentions, but it is like, what the fuck you think you're gonna do, white boy?
Yeah, what the fuck did you think you were gonna do?
I think I might just be too familiar with police officers because my dad is a cop. So I just was like, oh, I know what to do here, not realizing this was some sleeve tat dickhead that the hotel hired. Who's bad at his job anyway.
How did that situation resolve itself? Did you see what ended up happening? Did they leave the hotel or did
I
they?
don't know. I tried talking to the cop later, and I was like, "Yeah, man, that was really none of my business. I thought they might have been here for the festival that I'm a part of, and I thought I knew them.
Mhm.
But I didn't mean any trouble." And he was still kind of a dickhead about it. He wouldn't shake my hand.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh-huh.
which, but right there just proves that I'm completely right. Like, I'm not wrong about this.
Well,
Could
the
have
only
got.
thing is you weren't there for the beginning of it, so you don't actually know what the beginning of the altercation was. Like that's my whole thing with a lot of these like stories that come out on the internet and shit like that. Like I try to hold back assessing who's right and who's wrong until I have the full context.
It's
Because
not. Yeah, I guess you're right about that. Where it bothers me, and this is just something that can't really be fixed, and that's why Vidge understands. Like, yeah, what are you going to do? Um, his job is that of a public servant more than anything. And so if that's your attitude toward someone just in a hotel lobby, you're bad at your job. You know, like
fair enough.
I talk to cops in New York. I just walk up to them and go, "Hey, can you help me find this cross street?" And they'll give me directions, and they're very friendly. But when I meet a cop who just flies off the handle immediately, it's like, dude, you're gonna kill somebody.
Yeah, you're not rap tight already.
Yeah,
Because like if you're a cop, you're gonna get way worse than just some rando talking to you. And Ascension Dildo, he's adding your aspirations. I guess he said, "My apologies, officer. I thought I knew them, but all black people look alike to me."
that's fair. I did
That's
say
dope.
that.
Okay, well there we go. Ascension Dildo, you knew what was going on.
Yeah.
You knew what was going on.
No, I mean it's
Just
just
a little bigotry.
it's an unwritten cultural thing where it's like just don't even talk to the police. I guess because
Do you think you would have gotten involved if they weren't black?
yeah,
Ooh.
dude,
You would have.
trust me, it was mushrooms is why I got involved.
Okay.
Full on, it was like, yo, what are we doing, guys? Why are we fighting? And then he's like, step back now.
Piece of shit. Yeah.
That's pretty funny, man.
I feel like I'm so used to giving off this persona of being just a doughy retard. It always catches me off guard when someone feels threatened by me in any way. I'm like, all right, it's very strange because
You seem friendly. You seem like
yeah,
you're the friendliest guest we've ever had, honestly.
yeah. I mean,
Wow. Take
look,
that, Tom.
look, let's get real.
It's cool.
I do
But, like,
only have 10. I only got like 10 minutes left because I got a doctor's appointment. But
It's all good.
no worries.
but I'm friendly because it's taken a lot of work. I come from a family of my dad's a cop, alcoholic, my mom is insane, and I've had crazy anger problems for most of my life, and just like mood swings, all of it. So
It's a need for mushrooms.
it's something I've had to work on, and it still makes depending on where my life is at in any given moment, it can really. That's what we're dealing with on our show now. Is like I've had these outbursts that I'm not really aware of, and everyone is like, "Dude, I don't know what's going on with you." I'm like, "Yeah, me neither. This is about 30 years of shit I got to work through." So
Man,
That's
you
actually
do
kinda-
have some shit to work through. Not to be funny. Like I heard your story, and you were talking about your dad being a cop, and I didn't mean to cut you off, Matt, but like tell our audience your dad would like put heavy shit on you, right? Like he would tell you about what was going on
oh yeah,
in the
He
correctional
wasn't- he
facilities
wasn't-
and all that other stuff.
he wasn't like a beat cop. He wasn't like patrolling. He was a prison guard. So
Yeah.
he would come home and just unload all of that onto me. And not only that, his drinking, his detachment from the family itself. He never really wanted much to do with us beyond just having us around. But other than that, he would just take his beers and go out in the woods. And, at a certain point, I'd be like, "Hey, Mom, do you know where Dad is?" And she'd go, "Oh, shit, I got to go get him out of the woods."
Jesus.
So, it was very dysfunctional. And it's something I've realized, like, in my own life, in a lot of interpersonal relationships, it's just something people can't relate to. It's like people can relate to abusive parents, but it's such a specific set of circumstances that it's like, yeah, my dad was a prison guard, war veteran, grew up in the South to very poor abusive people. His dad never told him he loved him. So, you know, it all trickles down.
Sure. No, I think specifically you're right. But when you were saying that, I don't know, like that kind of resonated with me, that sort of anger thing. Like I have that issue sometimes too, where it's like, it's just, not that it's uncontrolled, but for me, it's kind of like a mean streak. And it'll just sort of come out in waves, and then it'll be like when it's over, it's like I come out of a blackout almost.
Yeah, I just feel embarrassed. I'm just like,
Yeah.
I look, truly, please don't take it personally, because
And I always try to like make up for it, but like once you show people that side of yourself, it's really hard for them to ever see you like comfortably again. And so it's like that
that's
you
on
saying
them.
that was
Honestly, that's on them, man, because like, you know, as long as you're making the effort to do something and tell people like, I'm trying, man, I'm working on it. And
Yeah.
if they continue to give you no quarter, even though you are changing, at a certain point you will have to cut them out of your life, because
100%. But
I've
it's
had
just
to do that.
but saying like I can relate to that. Like I can. Like not necessarily I don't have the same circumstances at all, but like it just I completely identify with that sort of like I don't know, relationship with the world, and just sort of like that powerful emotion that takes you over, and then like when it passes, it's like this sort of like emptiness. Now you're just like, oh fuck. Like they did it again. Like it came out again, and I didn't want that to happen.
None of us know what to even care about now, because everything is so scattered and we're all so alone that, you know, we find ourselves caring about something a lot only to realize it's not important. So that's very frustrating for me as a comedian, where it's like, do I really care that Tim Dillon and Michael Che are fighting with each other? No, but it passes the time.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting story. I know you got to get going, so we can't really talk about it. But I did have like just a nerd, like a comedy nerdy question. Like, as far as like your writing process, like how exactly do you write your comedy?
I never know how to answer this. It's such an ethereal idea, that writing. But my friend Mishka Shibali once said that I have just a wasp's nest in my head, that you know, there's just a swarm, and I don't even know when the swarm, which part of the swarm is coming, or when. But really, what it is as far as writing goes, it's just a matter of discipline and work. You know, I make sure I stay well read. Like I have a library card. I read a lot. I try to I engage with the world. You know, I just talk to people and do things. I've gotten into playing chess with black guys in the park.
Specifically black guys. White boys won't cut it.
They are so fucking good at it, dude. There's all these guys at Union Square that hustle these tables, and they're like $5.
I've heard about. I mean, they're kind of famous.
Yeah. And so like I go up to him and I hand him $5, and I'll sit there and he doesn't say much, and then like in 4 moves he's like, checkmate. And I go, what? And he goes, all right, check it out. And he shows me how I've been checkmated, and I go, God damn, dude, fair is fair. And
It's worth it for the lesson.
Yeah, and well, no, I asked him, I'm like, how do you do that? And he goes, shit, man, you got to download the app. He's like, that's all he said was like,
wow,
you got to download the chess app, figure it out, come back.
Huh. That's sort of like the advice I've ever heard for like doing stand up is like just go do it for 10 years and then come back to me.
Anything, man. It's like there's all this structure and rules in place for the idiots, but at the end of the day, it's all about feel. It's all about just can you feel what you're doing and express it. Some of the best songs are very minimal. You know, you look at somebody like Jack White. 3 chords, that's it, and he's got how many albums? You know, he's a master. So
it's funny. I was just playing some White Stripes. I'm trying to learn guitar, and I was actually playing.
White Stripes is a good place to start, man. I used
power chords.
I played guitar in high school. I don't do it much anymore, but I love minimalism. Margarita pizza, you know, very simple things.
Sure.
And I think White Stripes is a perfect band for really getting a feel for guitar and drums, because it's just all groove and rhythm and rock. So it's, you know, and I apply all of that to what I do. It's groove, baby. It's rhythm. I don't know. It's a matter of feeling and expression. So as far as writing goes, you know, I read a lot. I'll sit down and write. I'll mill around, walk around.
It's funny. I was listening to like a few of the episodes of like your show last night, and I was like, Dalton's like deceptively intelligent.
Yeah, that's something I'm starting to struggle with because like I leaned a little too hard into all this kayfabe, and now the people think I'm actually retarded and completely lack any self awareness.
Got to repackage your gimmick.
Yeah, I got to reinvent myself like Madonna.
It works for you though. Like you'll put out these references. I was like, Jesus, that was fast. Like where'd that come from?
Somebody said it is like Dennis Miller with autism.
Dennis, yeah, yeah, sure, or just Dennis Miller.
I mean,
I was just about to say with autism. There's a difference.
He already has the autism. I guess it's just Dennis Miller if he grew
Southern
up
Dennis Miller.
It's Dennis Miller if he grew up with anime instead of history books.
Yeah,
there you
exactly. Go. Well, hey Dalton, thank you so much for hanging out with us today, brother. Really appreciate it. I'm going to put in the chat. I'm putting the link to the Loud Boys podcast on YouTube. Give it a look. It's really funny. They got some great comics on there. I saw Dan Soder, Ryan Long, and the boys themselves are funny.
Yeah,
so.
and for real, subscribe to the Patreon. We just dropped an episode that happened right after Skankfest, and we're all kind of tense. But
nice.
We had our buddy Sammy Obeid on, and we do something really fun with him for that episode that I did not think we were going to do it as well as we did.
That's awesome.
So if you $5 a month, that it's really fun.
Right on, man.
All right,
well,
man.
thanks again, Dalton. Come back and see us, all right, brother?
Yes, please do, man. I would love to have more time with you. You seem like a good dude, and there's 1,000 things I want to talk to you about. So, man, feel free to come back anytime, man.
For sure, man. Yeah, just hit me up.
Right on, brother.
All right.
Yeah, we'll do.
Take it easy, guys.
Take it easy.
Bye.
Peace. Dalton Pruitt, everybody.
Dalton
Ladies and
Pruitt.
gentlemen. It's a great guest.
I know, man. I could have kept talking to him. It felt like it felt like the first act of the conversation,
Yeah, and like I really hope we can do more stuff with him. Like he's a very engaging guy, very good vibe. Good vibes, man. Good vibes.
Good vibe. And it's funny too, like he was having such a serious conversation. Every time I listen to him, he's always just joking around and like saying wild shit, and to hear him just be so like introspective and serious, I was like, wow, this is not what I expected at all.
Yeah. Please check out the Patreon stuff, man. You gotta support people, and just check out his channel in general. Please.